The WNBA just gave us a masterclass in pure chaos, and at the heart of it all was Kelsey Mitchell taking on Aya Wilson, the referees, and the entire narrative that Las Vegas had already scripted for themselves. The last foul called on Wilson summed up everything wrong with the game. It wasn't basketball, it was theater. The Aces walked into their home arena expecting a coronation. The MVP trophy was polished, the media had their stories written, and the night was supposed to end with Wilson dominating and Becky Hammond outsmarting Indiana. Instead, it all unraveled into one of the dirtiest, most rigged-looking playoff games you'll ever see. Cheap fouls, phantom technicals, elbows flying, everything but fair play. And yet, somehow, Indiana flipped the script and left Vegas panicking. From the start, it was clear that the officiating was tilted. Mitchell drove to the rim, absorbed contact across her body, finished the play, and instead of being rewarded with a foul, she was punished with a technical. That set the tone. One set of rules for Vegas, another for Indiana. The Aces weren't even trying to win cleanly. They came out with forearms, flops, and bully ball, relying on whistles to carry them. But the Fever didn't blink. They stayed poised, tightened up their sets, and punished Vegas every time they lost focus. The inconsistency was so obvious it was laughable, and fans across the league are tired of seeing favoritism dictate games instead of talent. Indiana, sure-handed and written off before tip-off, played fearless basketball. Kelsey Mitchell relentlessly attacked, dropping 34 points while silencing the Vegas crowd with every shot. Odyssey Sims brought veteran grit, controlling tempo and shutting down Chelsea Gray. Aaliyah Boston and Brianna Turner turned Wilson's night into a nightmare, forcing her into heavily contested looks and holding her to 6-4-22 shooting. Even role players like Lexi Hull, who spent the night being shoved and elbowed, refused to fold. Her defensive impact on Jackie Young completely threw the Aces off rhythm. This wasn't survival basketball. Indiana dictated the pace, executed smarter, and simply outworked the defending champs. Meanwhile, Vegas collapsed under the weight of their own arrogance. Wilson, fresh off her MVP celebration, turned to elbows, complaints, and desperation shots when things didn't go her way. Becky Hammond, instead of acknowledging how thoroughly her team was outplayed, brushed it off as missed layups and bad luck, a weak excuse that insulted anyone who watched the game. The reality was simple. Indiana was better in every phase. They defended harder, executed cleaner, and stayed composed while Vegas unraveled. And the irony couldn't be sharper. Hours after being crowned the league's face, Wilson was flailing, begging for calls, and exposed as completely dependent on officiating safety nets. The referees only added fuel to the fire. Technicals were called for nonsense while blatant fouls were ignored. Illegal screens looked more like WWE moves, but the whistles stayed silent. The whole game felt like the league wanted Vegas to win, but the Fever refused to let that script play out. They fought through every bogus call, every cheap shot, and every attempt to tilt momentum back to the home team. And in the end, the ball didn't lie. Vegas missed free throws, Indiana buried jumpers, and the scoreboard told the truth. Fever 89, Aces 73. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Historically, 72% of teams who take Game 1 in a best-of-5 series advance. Indiana didn't just pull off an upset, they flipped the odds of the entire series. They walked into Vegas's house on MVP night and humbled the so-called juggernaut. The dynasty everyone was hyping? Exposed as a house of cards built entirely on Wilson's shoulders. Take her out of rhythm and suddenly the Aces look lost, predictable, and fragile. Indiana, on the other hand, showed true team basketball. Mitchell closing, Boston anchoring the paint, Sims controlling the pace, and role players grinding out the dirty work. Now the pressure has shifted completely. Vegas isn't looking like a dynasty, they're looking like a one-dimensional team on the verge of collapse. If Indiana comes out with the same energy in Game 2, this series could be over before it even gets back to Indianapolis. The analysts who dismiss the Fever are already scrambling to rewrite their takes, because the reality is undeniable. Indiana is fearless, focused, and playing with freedom, while Vegas is rattled and exposed. Coronation turned into humiliation, and all the dynasty talk suddenly sounds hollow. The Fever sent a message to the entire league. They're here, they're not scared, and they're not backing down. If Vegas doesn't figure something out fast, it won't be the Aces celebrating a dynasty. It'll be the 6th seed everyone laughed at rewriting history. So what do you think? Was this the most rigged-looking playoff game in WNBA history? Did Kelsey Mitchell just expose both Aya Wilson and the referees in one night? And are the Fever about to pull off one of the greatest upsets the league has ever seen? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaking up the WNBA.